So good morning. I'm just going to give a couple of minutes for people to log in. Good to see you, Niall. I hope you're well and all set. As always, hi. I see people logging in. Everybody, you're more than welcome this Friday morning, which for what I know would be a very interesting webinar, and we're delighted to be joined by Niall Kenna from PayPal. I'm just going to give a couple of minutes, but I actually think just while we're waiting for some of these to join, that this is a great opportunity to speak and ask loads of questions to one of probably the biggest outsourcers in Ireland, one of the biggest companies in terms of outsourcing seats. And we were just talking about that before we came on live. I see some friendly phrases there. Hi Simon, hi John, hi Katrina, good to see you. But I know Niall is going to share some valuable insights into what PayPal do in terms of driving their outsourced performance and engagement. So we really do. We were just chatting, myself and I, before we come on, to say that we want to make this as interactive and engaging as possible. So please do put in some tough questions, and we'll take easy questions too. But it is a really good opportunity because obviously the BPO market in Ireland is fantastic, and there's some fantastic players in the industry who we know have joined us this morning, which is great to see. But really do use this as an opportunity to get some insights as to how a company the size of PayPal and how they manage their outsourcing partnerships and relationships. And I have a couple of hard questions to ask at the end as well. So I'm going to hand over to you, Niall, if that's okay, and I'll be your guide in terms of the presentation and the slides. So let me know when you want me to go on to the next one, and enjoy, and then I'll come back in with questions as they come along. And just to remind everybody, you know, the chat button there at the right hand side to put your questions, comments, observations. Please do that as well. And I just turn off my camera and I will share the screen then, Niall, so you have your presentation now. Perfect.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Delighted to be able to have a chat today about outsourcing. Just a little bit myself, I know, obviously you can see I work for PayPal, but I've been working with, I suppose, outsourcers for about 15 years in various different industries, both, you know, sales, telesales, and also retail. So I've worked, I suppose, lots of different outsourcers in different industries at different scales. So hopefully build up some experience and knowledge about how to manage them effectively and get the most out of them. So if you want to move on, Dorothy, I've only got a couple of slides because obviously we want this to be interactive and not me to do all the talking in terms of just talking about PayPal or what we do. So just an overview of PayPal. People know we've about 2,000 people in Ireland across a couple of big sites in Dublin and Dundalk. We run our EMEA customer operations out of Ireland, and obviously we've had a lot of growth in the last couple of years as people have migrated to online digital shopping and banking. We outsource actually a few different functions in PayPal, from sales generation to stuff like back office functions like risk and brand marketing, also customer services, which I'm involved in, and then stuff like collections as well. So if people have, you know, money on their account or balance on their account, we would call them. So in EMEA, it's a big region for PayPal. So we're doing about 20 million customer contacts, just over that per annum, for the EMEA region, and a lot of that's outsourced. So about 25% is in Ireland, and the rest is spread across the world. Actually, not just Europe. And obviously, we service a number of different markets, so different languages by different channels. So we have three sites, two in Ireland, and actually we got one in Tel Aviv as well. And we work in EMEA with 6 outsource partners, and actually globally we are actually 8 global outsource partners across the different parts of the world. So Dorothy, don't mind move on, please. So just, I suppose, you know, from our point of view as, I suppose, the client, and working with, you know, with partners, as I said to Dorothy, we actually, you know, we regularly, every 2 to 3 years, we do an RFP, either for a full RFP or for particular bits of work, where we might, you know, look to change partner or to see what's out in the marketplace. So obviously, you know, we would do an RFP and we would include existing partners and also some new ones as well. And it's a great opportunity for us to see what's out there, whether it be new locations, new partners we're not working with, or even someone else can have a look at our business and offer something different in terms of different solutions for servicing customers. And as Dorothy said, listen, there's lots of big, small, medium-sized outsourcers, both who are Irish and global. And listen, it's a very competitive marketplace. You know, we would work with some of the big global players, and like they're growing 20, 30% a year. So a lot of people are outsourcing more and more. One is people are, want to stick to their core business and, want to outsource more because one is the flexibility, as we know, you get from an outsourcer to be able to flex up and down. Also, maybe it's, it's not core stuff, or it's stuff that's, messy to manage. So, the big advantage of outsourcers is around that level of ramp up, ramp down quickly, the flexibility, not having to deal with obviously a lot of the labor laws across different markets as well. So the partners look after all that for us, which is very beneficial because it is time consuming. And one of the things, advice I give to anybody is, whatever your business or industry is, that, as you write your RFP or you're looking for, any kind of tender, is you've got to be really clear what model do you want? Because, partners might have their own models or might suggest something, but the question is, what's right for your business? So what, so many, people do you want per team? Is there a dedicated trainer, or is it 2 trainers? Do you want a quality team dedicated just to your account? So again, stuff like, WFM. So all this stuff's really important. And then also saying, what's your expectations? Like in our tender, we probably say to people, this is actually our NPS scores you're getting now. So our expectation is this is what you need to do, this or better if you want to tender for our work. So it's been really clear, it's not just about prices, it's about the whole operation and the quality. I don't get anybody wants to do a tender just to do the lowest price. It has to be the full package. And the other thing I think we think is important in PayPal, I'm sure you do as well, is that, there has to be some kind of cultural fit as well between what your values are and your outsourcers. I think that's really important. And, going to do site visits gives you a really good sense when you meet people, walk the floor, meet their operations people, the local leaders, and to get a good understanding of their business, who they are and what they stand for. Also, it's really important to talk to your industry peers. So we would have good relations with people like Airbnb, Google, Microsoft, where we would talk about outsourcing on a regular basis, who's using who's good. So I would say, tap into your network you have when you're looking at either, taking on an outsource, or even looking into the market, because obviously it's good to talk to people, and people very often will share their experiences. And also seek out references and speak to the references. And again, setting expectations around outsourcing. Like I've been in lots of operations where we started from zero or we ramped up, and we do know it's the 6 to 9 months for an outsourcer to be proficient, i.e. they're hitting all the targets and they're up and running and it's a smooth operation. So there's usually some kind of teething problems with outsourcers at the start as they ramp up and people are new. They're new to you, they're new to your products, they're new to your processes. So I would always say give it 6 to 9 months till you really start to see high performance, and it's just be realistic for both parties. So Dorothy, this next slide, please. All right. So that's what I was talking about, how you choose, a partner and things to look out for. And then I suppose about driving business performance. So, the operation leaders run the business. I was on a quarterly business review yesterday, one of our partners. And like, it's the team leaders, it's the opposite of the team leaders who really are going to manage your business, who are the heart of the business, who are going to drive performance. And also the other key areas are, who you're recruiting, the quality and the kind of standards you're setting, expectations around the caliber of people you want, whether that be languages or technical expertise or soft skills you want or background, obviously HR, and then obviously, quality teams. So a lot of our accounts, we would have, quality teams, analytics teams as well, who'd be monitoring performance and sharing that with us as part of our business reviews. And as we know, with outsourcing in any business, high performance is about low attrition and tenure of staff. And, I would, personally say from lots of experience, that when you can get that right, performance really, really starts to be very, very high. So the thing that's going to kill your business is high attrition. And you've got to be really aware of, again, when you're looking at different locations, is attrition high? Some places in the world have very high attrition, and you're paying for that. It's built into the price. Other places, there's less attrition. So you got to choose what you want, but attrition is a killer. Tenure gets you very high performance, people who know your products and processes. And then obviously managing, we would have, weekly ops reviews. We have monthly business reviews I go to, and then quarterly business reviews we'd have our VPs at. Part of those reviews all the time is, obviously performance, but it's also around, can you improve our processes? Is there feedback for us? What are customers saying? Is there VOC to us and how we can improve? So this should be a two-way communication. You don't turn up to a partner business review and they're just telling you the numbers. You want to understand, really, do they understand your business? Can they help improve it? Is there insights they're seeing, talking to tens of thousands of interactions with your customers? And very often, particularly with the larger outsourcers, they have global analytics team. And I was working with one a couple of years ago, and I was going like, why aren't your analytics team coming to our quarterly business reviews? But you never asked them. Like, well, we're a big client of yours. I expect your teams to be working on our account to give us insights, not just a local quality team, but I also want the analytics team. So, you got to make sure, just like these big global companies, they do have pockets of experts, whether it be AI, digital analytics teams, that you should be getting access to them, whether it be a project or some level of Six Sigma or Lean, where they can come in and help you, improve your business. And then to really motivate outsourcers, and we would have our rewards and discounts. And again, most places I've worked, we've had different variations and flavors of rewards and discounts. Like the monthly, could be quarterly. Quarterly tends to work because obviously months is quite short. So there has to be a carrot and stick approach to drive performance, and that again is down to what you think is appropriate. I've seen different models, but it's really important that and partners expected, by the way, that they don't expect to get paid an hourly rate and that's it. They expect to be level, that they're overperforming. There's a reward on the other side of it. They're not performing, or service levels are poor, or again, they're not delivering the numbers, then there should be some kind of penalty in there. And the big thing is, I would say as well, make sure that the targets the staff on the ground have with your partners, their targets aligned to your targets, but also their pay is aligned in terms of the variable pay. That is the KPIs you want to drive. Again, I've seen times where the individual agents have different targets, or their pay is not aligned, and you're wondering why you're not getting the focus, or is it a misalignment? So I just make sure that you're asking all the questions right down to what are people earning, and which are they passing the money through into variable pay to the individual teammates. And then the other thing which we've seen here in PayPal, and spent a lot of time in the last probably 18 months, is around, we saw at the start, we have in-house teams, we have partner teams. In some of our big markets, we look at places like UK, France, Italy, where we have a combination of both, that actually we've really started to get the teams to work closely together. And sometimes you can see, a bit of an us and them. We're in-house teammates. We call our agents teammates in PayPal. They're just a partner. They're different, but actually the customers are the same. So we've really started to get them to work closer together, which basically means we're doing weekly meetings together. We do call calibration with both in-house and partners, with our group leaders, with our quality teams, our coaches. So again, you're putting the customer and the market at the heart of it, not just, well, that's the outsource quality, that's our quality. Actually, the quality should be the same right across the market. So that's been a bit of a breakthrough for us in improving our performance. And then again, it's about how you involving your own in-house trainers and coaches. Yes, partners have their own trainers and coaches, and you'll train them up. But again, how is that knowledge and information and best practice being shared between in-house teams and partners? And also, we've done recently, we've signed up some new sites. We've had our in-house teams actually doing mentoring, supporting, and doing some shadowing with our partners. Again, in the past we wouldn't have done that. We would have done train the trainer and let them go off. But actually, we spend a lot more time, and maybe because it's a virtual world, it's much easier to have a meeting which includes partners in the house, where before maybe you're in a meeting room just with your outsourcers and that was separate. But actually, the virtual environment, it means that actually any meeting now can include much wider groups of people anywhere in the world on a call and talk about a market or talk about customers. So that's definitely helped our business. And the other thing we've done recently is given our partners access to real-time data, so they can manipulate the data for analytics, just seeing the same data we're seeing. And also what's actually interesting, so the partners can see each other's performance. So again, we would have in some of our big markets where you might have 3 partners, we would bring in a champion challenger model. So we would have maybe somebody who might have a lot of the business, but we would actually bring other partners in just to keep it competitive and to share the business out. And then it comes down to whoever performing best gets more work. So you do tend to, if you're with a partner a long time, there can be complacency. There can be that, the relationship is great, but actually, bringing a challenger in who's hungry for the business really makes the incumbents stand up and sometimes up their game. And we've seen that in a couple of markets where we've done that. And just on the last slide, Dorothy, I don't want to spend too much time going through PowerPoint slides. My philosophy, working with partners is that they are a partner, and actually I do consider the people who work on our PayPal account to be de facto PayPal employees in terms of the passion they have, how engaged they are. They get up in the morning and they work 100% on PayPal. They're dedicated to PayPal. So, to really engage them more and to make sure they feel that, it's about sharing our strategy and our plans. It's including them in our town halls. So, we would have in some of our town halls, but we might have, say, our head of France for our sales, we would have our partners come along and they would attend town halls. They understand what's going on in the market, the growth in the market, and also positive recognition as well. A big thing as well is sometimes, other areas of business, they don't understand the partners. They're just seen as a external outsourcer. But actually, partners actually have a lot of interaction, with your marketing team, with your sales team. So again, building those relationships, including your partners in those, can be very beneficial for them because they feel much more part of the operation and of your business. And also if your stakeholders understand that actually, these are partners of ours. So actually they should be included and we trust them. And then, as we all know, spending time with people, obviously harder in the virtual world in terms of getting to know people, but certainly I would have spent the last couple of years, on planes, spending time on site, going for beers after work with people in our partners to get to know them, to really, build the relationships and build the trust up where you get to know them. And, also, when things go great, it's fine, but when things go wrong, it's actually when you even more need to spend more time on the ground, understand the issues, and then support and help them come up with action plans to, any kind of corrective actions they need to do to get back on track. And that's going to happen, in the outsource world. Not everything goes to plan, and certainly in customer services, as anybody knows who's in this space, it can be a bit of a roller coaster. So you got to roll with the punches, but you got to, work with your partners, not blame them for stuff, but work with them to get back on track. And then the final piece, again, I'd say we've done quite well, is around recognition. So, and including them as well. So we run incentives for partners, and for the first time ever this year in PayPal, we actually ran an Olympics competition, which actually was for all in-house and partners, which is about 3,000 staff in EMEA. And that was the first time ever we'd run a competition where actually we had the same rules, prizes for in-house and partners. Before, in-house was always separate. So again, it just felt like there was inclusiveness, and everyone was chasing the same target, which was great. And there's really great visibility. And there was competition between our markets and also between our partners in-house. So again, healthy competition is good. And then the final piece, we do a lot with stuff like, PayPal branded hoodies and stuff for people as well. So again, it's just good to give them the merchandise so they feel, again, part of the brand. So they're the slides. If you want to stop presenting, Dorothy, they're, I suppose, some of the things over my 15 years of experience where I've learned, I suppose, how to, choose partners, how to work with them, how to get the most out of them, how to build relationships, how to get, very high performance. Also, how to sometimes have tough conversations when performance is not going well. I've also, on numerous occasions, moved partners and take business away from partners when they haven't performed. So, the end of the day is you're the client, it's your business, and you've got to do what's right for you. But certainly, as I said, the trend at the moment in a lot of industries and different functions is to actually outsource more, not less. And in PayPal, we are outsourcing more and more functions. In the past, we wouldn't have, just because of, one is we don't know how long the growth will last for at this level, and again, adding people in-house, we know takes a lot longer when you have HR and talent management, where in partners you can outsource, you can ramp up and ramp down much quicker, which is what we do in a fast-paced fintech environment. So I'll stop there, Dorothy, for any questions that have come in.
Yeah, perfect. I'm going to kick off and just remind everybody, if you have a question, just put it in the little chat box to the right, or chat box. I always say chat box. The structure for a good outsourcing relationship, like obviously my background is outsourcing, and I worked in outsourcing for 15 years plus. So how do you get the right structure in place in terms of people at different levels dealing with different parts of the outsource operation?
Yeah, so our setup in PayPal is, we before actually had dedicated people just for our partners. And actually now we have people who are actually responsible for markets as opposed to partners. We manage both in-house and partners. But certainly, my advice is that, if you're at scale, you need to have a dedicated person managing your partner. They got to be able to, spend a lot of time with them, to go into performance, go into targets, calibration with them as well. So we would normally have is that we would have a weekly ops meeting, we'd have a monthly business review, and then quarterly business reviews. And that's, so I would go monthly and quarterly business reviews. We bring our VPs in if there's a big QBR. So it is getting those cadences right in terms of, some meetings are going to be right down to service levels and into the weeds of performance. But then we look at the more, macro around total performance. And then in the quarterly business review, we're much more around potentially, future looking, any kind of ideas they're bringing and initiatives they're bringing, maybe looking a quarter ahead to see, what the plan is. But certainly, the operating rhythms are important. But obviously, you are paying, to my team, we pay a partner to deliver our business. We should not be micromanaging. We're micromanaging a partner, something's going wrong because then they're not doing their job. So we manage them, but we shouldn't be micromanaging them.
And a question from Susan: is there an ideal contract time, minimum or maximum, for an outsourced partnership?
We would tend to do 3 years, because really, we've set up probably about 3 different sites in the last 18 months because of growth. And, it's taking you 6 to 9 months just to get up the learning curve. So really your first year is, will give you a good indication. So 2 to 3 years, you'd expect that, it's working well. And then you might say, well, we might go to tender again or might renew it. But certainly I would have said 3 years.
Okay. And do you outsource? Often the reputation has been that companies like yourselves, large companies, outsource the lower sort of transactional, the lower value activities, and they keep in-house the higher value, maybe your VIP clients. Or how do you split? Is it by channel? Is it by customer type? Is it by activity, sales versus service? How do you decide on that? And I know you've obviously a very big amount of work that you outsource.
Yeah, before, it was more just because of the growth we had, we were outsourcing everything. But in the last probably 2 years, we actually have started to differentiate for certain markets. So we do tend to more transactional consumers, we would offshore and nearshore. And then, for larger merchants or business customers, very high-end consumers, we would onshore or do it in-house. And then we'd also differentiate the service levels as well. So you might be answering 30 seconds versus 60 seconds. But you're right, it is your biggest, your most valuable customers. You do want to be able to have a very good quality of language, tenured people. Otherwise you're going to have very poor NPS score. You're going to have churn. So we do. But at the start we outsource a lot, but we're much more planned these days about where we strategically put a piece of work based on the cost. But transactional stuff, cost is a factor. If you're doing at scale, you want to get economies of scale, and you don't want to be paying a huge amount of money for maybe very low value contacts.
Of course, yeah. And with the new hybrid, I know you guys aren't back in the office yet either, and a lot of companies are still waiting and phasing in slowly. Has that had an impact, the fact that a lot of your BPO partners presumably have their staff working from home as well? Is that negatively, positively? Is there any learnings from that?
I think like a lot of companies at the start, it was just trying to get people out of contact centers and in very lockdown dumb terminals into their homes with security and that kind of stuff and technology and getting onto our network. So that took a little bit of work, but most, I'd say, for our partners, part of maybe a couple of sites where we have 2 sites in Africa where people are actually are still on site. But anywhere in Europe and in the Philippines and South America, we have operations, people are mostly working from home, nearly 100%. We haven't seen any reduction in performance productivity.
Yeah, that's
Well,
great.
I think we will, us as a company are moving towards hybrid. We're like, none of us are back in the office anywhere in PayPal globally. We will start going back next year, but I expect, to one of our partners this morning, they were asking me about that, and I was saying that, we don't expect our partners to have a hybrid model as well. And also, the upside of having hybrid or remote model is your access to talent is much better. So, for example, a big market for us is Germany. It's difficult to attract people in contact center business in Germany. So we have operations now remotely in places like Croatia, Poland, where actually we access to much more speakers. The same in North America. We've got 2 big sites in North America. Attrition is high. We now started recruiting remotely in the southeast of the States, which just gives us a whole new labor market that we never tapped into before. So there's a positive to remote working from a talent point of view.
And Niall, I'm conscious of time, but 1 or 2 last questions. For Irish BPO companies, some who are on this call today, what do they need to do to get work or to get business with somebody like PayPal? Because I think sometimes when you look at the BPO landscape in Ireland, there's some quite niche players that have a certain set of skills that if somebody's looking for sales, I'd, suggest a company talks to whatever BPO or customer service or technical support or digital support. Is there anything that you could share with them that they should be thinking about? Like the value added side of it seems to be a very important part for you guys.
Yeah, and I think first of all, it's connect with the right people. So, yes, we do tenders. Today is, people come talk to us all the time, and people want to work with PayPal or a big brand. But it's getting to know our setup, getting to know what's important to us, getting to know who our decision makers are, getting to know, what not just our KPIs, but what's the future. So, we're doing a lot of work now at the moment in AI, for example. We're doing a lot of work in self-service. So that's different. Like, a lot of the simple transactions are now automated or being done by bots. So the question is, what are you bringing that's maybe a little bit different, or do you have a niche, or are you working with other clients you can showcase? Say, listen, we're doing this with a different client in the same sector. You know what? Are you interested in this? So it's having those conversations and finding out, who decision makers are. Like it is competitive because there's lots, as you said, lots of outsourcers out there. But build your network and target your clients. Understand when they're who they're working with. Understand when their tenders are coming out, and keep on networking with people.
And is the technology in the workforce planning piece a big part of it? I mean, do you let your outsource partners manage that side of things, or do you come and say, this is our workforce planning platform and this is our technology, so you need to use this?
Yeah, and actually we would be much more controlling around that, where they didn't have to use our workforce management tools, but certainly they were plugged into it. Now we actually say we've got some partners where we might have multiple sites in the country. We would say to them, we need 50,000 hours. You just deliver them. And and we have call arrival patterns, block ratios. We say, okay, every half an hour you have to have X amount of people for half an hour, but you actually manage. They would have their own WFM. And again, for the partners, to me, that's their bread and butter. So why would you micromanage WFM when actually that's the reason you give them the work, because they actually are experts in that as well. So again, it's about trusting your partners around saying, this is what we need. The more you can do for us, the more you get closer to our business. And the closer you're to someone's business, it's very hard to change that. I always say to my partners, if you're doing well and it's so seamless, it's very hard to leave somebody where it's so seamless just to go to somebody new, because the risk involved of starting a brand new operation, which is very risky, costly, and takes some time to the learning curve.
Yeah, and to your earlier point that you say, you know yourselves, it takes 7 to 9 months for a company to get up to speed, as it were, to where you need them to be performance-wise. Yeah, exactly. True. Yeah. Great. I have no further questions. I don't think we've any further questions for the audience. I know you're happy if people want to connect with you on LinkedIn, sure, that they do that. I'm conscious of time. I know we said we've gone a couple of minutes over literally a couple of minutes over the 11:30, but I'll be able to share a copy of this presentation on the members area with our members. So I think it'll be a good learning. Maybe some of the BPOs will use it to share with their teams in terms of some really valuable insights as to how a company as big as PayPal manages their outsource partners. So thank you so much, and thanks for your time. I know you're a busy man, and for those who don't know, obviously Niall is now a board member of the CCMA, so it's great to have him on board and to help us in steering the direction of the association. And the last thing just to say in terms of CCMA updates is that we have a date and a venue for our annual awards ceremony, which is going to be on the 25th of November, Thanksgiving, in the Aviva Stadium, all going well and restrictions continuing to lift. But we'll be sending out further details of that early next week. But for anybody on the call that's interested in coming along and networking and getting to meet senior executives and all of that, and obviously hopefully some of you will be shortlisted as well, do get in touch if you want to find out about booking tables and all that. But Niall, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
And hope everybody has a lovely weekend. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.